All right, let's hit the field.
It is January 4th, and the Yankees still have pitching on their shopping list. We'll talk about Blake Snell, Jordan Montgomery, Trevor Bauer, and Jesus Luzardo, among others, and we'll try and figure out who Yankees fans want. Special guest tonight, Pat Hennessy, fellow creator and friend of the show. This is NYY Recaps.
Welcome to Yankee Stadium.
New York City.
Just when they thought I was out, they pull me back in.
All right. Happy New Year, everybody, if I haven't seen you. And Happy New Year to you, Pat. How you doing, man?
Happy New Year, Derek. Yeah, long time no see. I think last time we talked was probably before the Soto trade, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while. The Yankees have done a lot for us to kind of catch up on and kind of, I do want to talk about Soto and the offense at some point, but I think people right now are kind of locked into who we're going to get to, throw the pill every fifth day. So let's talk a little bit about Montgomery and Snell and Burns and Imanaga and Bieber and Cease, and the list goes on and on. Luzardo. We were talking before we went live that when we wanted Soto, everybody wanted Soto, right? I mean, everybody in the, the consensus way. I'm sure there's a few people who didn't want to trade for Soto, but the consensus was we wanted Soto. The consensus was we wanted Yamamoto. But I don't feel like there's a consensus for who we want going forward.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird because it's like you look at the Yankees rotation, and I think any fan with like 3 brain cells can identify that there's just a glaring hole in that starting rotation. And it's completely different than the mentality we had going into last season where, bro, until we had a couple pitchers go down, like we thought this could be the greatest starting rotation of all time with Cole, Rodon, Nestor, Sevy, Montas. And now we're coming into the season this year, and the only real exclamation point is Garrett Cole, right? I mean, obviously, you still have Rodon, you still have Nestor, you have Schmidt. It's just all those guys feel like question marks to me. So that's why I can't see a scenario where the Yankees finish this offseason without going and getting at least another starting pitcher. And you look at the options out there, none of them really jump off the page to you too much. And it's weird to say considering Snell just won Cy Young this year. But I mean, you look at all the peripherals and just all things included when it comes to Snell, and he's not the sexiest free agent target. Any other year, it wouldn't be like, oh my God, the Yankees need to go out and get Blake Snell. Monty's obviously out there, who Yankee fans either love or love to hate, depending on who you ask. I wasn't a huge fan of him during his time with the Yankees, but he proved otherwise once he went elsewhere. And then obviously there's some trade targets. There's Burns, there's Cease, there's a bunch of other options there. But I think the issue is that Yankee fans can't really come to terms on like loving pursuing one player because no one really sticks out of the crowd right now.
Yeah, so the word around the campfire today is that Snell wants to be with the Yankees, to which I say, why not? I mean, who else is out there that could give him a huge contract, that has an awesome city to play in, and has a chance to win next year, and has somebody who he knows in Juan Soto, a good offense? I mean, who wouldn't want to pitch in front of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto in the same lineup and collect, $25 million plus doing it? But here's my issue with Snell. Cy Young Awards in 2018 and 2023, but in between, he was kind of mediocre. Like he was an average, I guess as the kids say, he was mid. But he was mid.
I like the lingo. Okay.
I'm trying to, I'm 40 now. I feel like I've got to invest some time in learning how these kids talk. No, but so like he's bookended several mediocre years with a couple of really good years. 99 walks this year. He led the league in walks. He does pick up a lot of strikeouts, which the Yankees love. Montgomery, on the other hand, has been here, done that. We all know that I was the president of the Gumby Nation fan club.
There you go.
And, I never wanted them to trade Montgomery, but also I would feel really awkward giving 180, 190, 200 million to somebody we traded away for somebody who barely played for us. And by the way, who has who is now 31 years old. He's not getting younger. I do think that a crafty lefty like Montgomery is something the Yankees could use, and have, somebody like Pettit and CC, over the years, we've always had this type of pitcher, and he could be that type of pitcher, but for $200 million, man, it's tough.
Yeah, no, that's why it's so weird. I think, like, if you look at the two free agent options, right, Snell and Monty, I think if I had to pick one, I think I'm still going with Snell. Just because I think that while the floor is lower, I feel like with Snell, I feel like the ceiling is a lot higher. I feel like with Monty, you kind of know what you're going to get. I'm looking at like a 3-4 in the rotation, and it's not my money, but I would just feel weird about paying 3 or 4 in my rotation, like $200 million,
I hear you. And, when you look at the other trade options, I mean, they're all going to cost you a ton. Dylan Cease, they're reportedly asking for 3 of your top 10 prospects. That's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, he's good strikeout guy, but he's not 3 out of your top 10 prospects good. Jesus Luzardo, we don't really know what they're asking for him, but I feel like it's a good match with the Yankees because they need a shortstop, and the Yankees have Oswald Peraza. The way I look at it with Peraza, we know that he's a better shortstop defensively than Volpe. We've seen it with our own eyes. Better arm, more range, just more athletic in general. Volpe won a Gold Glove. So this guy, by definition, is going to be Gold Glove caliber. Day one, who else can give you a cheap, under control, Gold Glove shortstop who has some upside as a hitter? We don't know what he's going to hit. He hit well in the minor leagues. He hasn't done shit in the major leagues. I mean, are we in agreement on that? He's been very, very disappointing offensively.
Yeah, no, 100%. But also, like, that's not really a knock on him. I think it's more of a knock on the Yankees on not being able to give him consistent playing time,
Fair. He did hit that nuke at the end of the year that got me excited against the Diamondbacks where he hit in the left field bleachers, 450 or something like that.
Yeah, but don't you feel like that happens pretty often with our top prospects where we kind of like call them up to give them a taste of big league experience, and then it kind of like ends up not working out, whether it's because of lack of consistent playing time or going up and down constantly, and then it kills their trade value. I feel like Peraza, look at what happened to Florial, bro. I mean, he's kind of like the definition of that. So I think if there were a scenario where this offseason you could utilize Peraza in some sort of trade and the Marlins are interested, you got to pull the trigger 10 times out of 10.
Brian Perez says, what about Yamamoto? Yeah, great idea, man.
Brian.
Great idea.
My man's living under a rock.
Oh, man. That stung. Because, I mean, usually when the Yankees want somebody, like really want somebody, they get him. I was surprised they didn't get him. What were your thoughts?
I mean, I would like going into it, I wasn't like, listen, like my whole thoughts on Yamamoto the whole time is like, while he is a very, very good pitcher, like, I don't know how comfortable I am giving somebody like the biggest contract for a pitcher in Major League Baseball history while never pitching in Major League Baseball before. And now that he's a Los Angeles Dodger with a lot of deferred money, by the way, I hope that he flops. I am praying on the downfall of his career. Is that a hater thing to do? 1,000%. But I'm sitting here hoping that he has like a 6.5 ERA this season.
Yeah. I kind of hope he gets clobbered too. I feel like karma. And I don't want to be a hater either, but I just think that would be funny. I just think it would be funny if, from a sheer comedy, giving the largest contract ever to a pitcher, having never played, and then he has a Hideki Irabu type of season. That would be amazing.
And it would make me feel good, Like, it would be like, all right, like, we didn't miss out on anything.
Right. All right, so we got a super chat here from Richard K. If I can get it onto the screen.
What currency is that?
I don't know. $10. That looks to be USD. He says, Montgomery is the safer conservative to play. Snell is just boom or bust. The Yankees are not one conservative play away from it went off the screen. One conservative play away from going deep into the postseason. So for them, Snell greater than Montgomery. I can see his... Okay, so he's saying you got to go all in while you have a chance, while you have Soto. You're trying to win this year. Take a gamble on Snell. The problem is I think Snell is going to break down too. The way he pitches, and we've talked about this a lot on this channel, he throws so many pitches to get out of innings, because he walks guys and he has high stress pitches with runners in scoring position. He leaves guys on because he's good at getting strikeouts. But once he starts to lose a little bit off that fastball or that curveball isn't biting quite as much, he's going to be Carlos Rodon this year, like 7 ERA type of pitcher.
No, I think that's definitely the scary part with Snell, and that's why I said, like, I feel like his floor is a lot lower than Monty, but when he's on, his ceiling is Cy Young status. So I think that's when it becomes a little bit scary. But out of all these options, I think in a perfect world, if packages didn't matter and budgets didn't matter, I'm going out and I'm getting Corbin Burns. In a perfect world, that's the pitcher I'm acquiring this offseason. Personally, I feel like he's not even going to be traded. I feel like there hasn't been that much smoke surrounding him. If anything, if we were going based on smoke right now, Blake Snell is destined to be a Yankee by the end of the week, potentially. Just because there's so much fire there, whether it's like quotes coming out from Aaron Judge about him or Blake Snell privately expressing he's dying to be a Yankee. Sure, it could be like a leverage play on his Cam's behalf, but if I had to assume something right now, I would assume that the Yankees come out of this offseason with Blake Snell in pinstripes.
Here's one we haven't talked about much is Trevor Bauer. So I remember back in 2020 when you and I were both doing podcasts every single day and collabing all the time. First of all, that was a ton of fun, man. That was a great year.
Greatest year.
So great. 2020 and 2021, even though the Yankees didn't do so great, it was a fun year for podcasting. We were all in for Trevor Bauer. And then, of course, he has this whole incident with the woman where it turns out he was kind of headhunted by as, somebody would say, a skeezing ass hoe. And
that's crazy.
A scheming ass hoe. And she made up this whole story. And, he was basically, I don't know what to say, acquitted, but they settled. And evidence came to light that she planned this whole thing. It was a trap. She videotaped like herself saying, I'm going to get this guy and all that great stuff. And so I feel like he's been kind of blackballed. Like he's out of baseball, but he doesn't deserve it.
Yeah, I think it's a really tricky scenario, right? Because obviously all that information is out there now, that he was kind of headhunted. But then there's also that stigma that's still attached to him and will always be attached to him, right?
Right.
And whether he deserves it or not, that's kind of just what's a part of the game now, and it kind of sucks for him. But I think if I'm the New York Yankees, now obviously me as Patrick Hennessy, would I give Trevor Bauer a shot, right? Hell yeah. Considering that we know that the upside is very high when it comes to him. Also, I mean, he just pitched in Japan last year and he pitched pretty well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed at all to giving him like a 1-year deal, back of the rotation to start things off, kind of see what he does. Worst case scenario, he sucks and you just release him. There's nothing much to lose there. However, knowing how the Yankees operate, I don't think they're going to want to deal with the distraction because he's definitely going to be a distraction. Spring training, start of the season, he's a polarizing figure with a polarizing story, polarizing past. But it's just a little bit weird to me because the Yankees haven't been afraid to that in the past with other circumstances, right? Whether that's Chapman going out and trading for him, like while there's an ongoing domestic violence investigation, or bringing back Herman after being suspended for a year. Like they haven't been afraid of it in the past, but I feel like with the Bauer situation, I don't see them taking that risk for whatever reason.
So there's been some talk lately about about Domingo Herman again. So to recap for everybody, this is the channel, NYY Recaps. Just to recap in case you missed it with Herman. He threw a perfect game this year. And then about 6 weeks later, he was on the restricted list because he got drunk in the clubhouse. He made fun of Ron Marinaccio as he was trying to, after he got sent to AAA and he was packing up, he's like, "Pack your bags, bitch!" And then, and then he tried to fight Aaron Boone, and they had to lock him in. He flipped over, unhinged, New York. He flipped a couch, he smashed a TV, and then ended up getting put into the sauna by the Yankees players, which is a stupid move because you're drunk, you're dehydrated. Being in a sauna is bad for your health. Ended up having to go to rehab. He'd been in rehab, for a couple of months. Look, I want no part of Domingo Herman back on this team. I get everybody deserves, a chance to show that, they can redeem themselves and all this stuff. but he got suspended. He's had all sorts of shit. Go figure it out in the St. Paul Saints League, the independent Northern League, like Darryl Strawberry did. Dominate there, and we'll talk.
Yeah, no, I agree 1,000%. And I think what's going to end up happening, at least in Bauer's situation, is I could totally see a team like, I don't know, the Royals going out and giving him a deal, get all that like beginning of the season controversy out of the way. And then if he's pitching well by the All-Star break, I guarantee you that a contending team will go out and give the Royals a pretty nice package for half a season of Trevor Bauer while they're contending for the postseason.
Yankee Dame says getting Bauer would be a huge distraction. We don't need guys like that in the locker room, especially when the accountability is at an all-time low on this team. I agree about the accountability, but you say guys like that. I mean, does he like his attention? Does he vlog? Sure. Does that make him a bad person? No, it doesn't. I mean, he basically was proven innocent.
Yeah.
So, but
it's such a weird situation. But that's what it is, right? Like even just the conversation about it, like it gets people going. And I don't know if the Yankees want to like dive back into that water, considering they're just coming off Herman and Chapman situation. So it's going to be interesting.
If little else, it'll be a reason to watch. This year was super boring. That was the worst part about this year. It wasn't the losing. It was the way we lost with no offense every night. Just boring,
Josh
2 hits,
Donaldson,
10 strikeouts.
Aaron Hicks.
And, God, Donaldson makes me want to vomit coat hangers. He is just impossible. Oh, Aaron Hicks, give me a fucking break. All right, well, hopefully the Yankees get on their horse soon. What is your hope? What ideally for the rest of the season, like let's say you get 2 guys and $32 million to spend.
Yeah. I would say it's kind of fun. I feel like Brian Cashman right now. And I can make trades too?
Yeah, you can make trades. You can move some guys
cool.
to clear some money.
Cool. So what I'm doing here, I'm going out, I'm trading for Corbin Burns. I don't know what that package consists of. However, I'm giving up every prospect not named Jason Dominguez. And yeah, I definitely would give up Spencer Jones in a trade for Corbin Burns. Like, bro, we're looking at a guy who's a solidified 2 behind Garrett Cole. At times can be your number 1, which is a crazy thought. And then also, I guess, if I had to acquire one more pitcher, maybe I shore up the bullpen. Maybe I go after a guy like, pretty sure Jordan Hicks is available, right?
Yeah.
I'd probably go out and I'd get Jordan Hicks for the bullpen. Yeah.
I think I would try and trade some prospects to get Luzardo. I would move, Peraza. If I had to move a Jones, I would do it to get Luzardo. And he becomes probably your number 2, in my opinion, behind Garrett Cole. I'm gonna roll the dice on Nestor Cortez as my number 3 and Carlos Rodon bouncing back as my number 4. I don't want to run Clark Schmidt back out there, so I might still sign Jordan Montgomery. Slot him in there wherever you see fit, and that's probably $25 million. And then I also might make a move to clear some salary, whether it's trade Gleyber Torres and get like a second base prospect, and then sign a closer, somebody like Josh Hader. Don't know if it's going to be possible, but.
It's so tricky, right? Because trading Gleyber makes a lot of sense. Like whether Yankee fans want to agree with it or not, because I know a lot of people love Gleyber, but it makes sense to trade. I don't see a scenario where he gets extended at the end of this season. And if you could go out and let's say it's like a 1-for-1 deal, or the Marlins are sending maybe back a prospect or something, I'd do Gleyber for Luzardo straight up.
Yeah.
Would it hurt the offense a little bit? Sure, but you have to think about like the offense is improving vastly with the additions of Soto and Verdugo. I think you can kind of like addition by subtraction with Gleyber Luzardo.
But here's the thing, though. Do the Marlins even want Gleyber Torres anymore? Because they're going full rebuild now. I mean, the only guy that they're saying is untouchable is Yuri Perez. So they probably don't want to take his money right before he becomes a free agent. I think, if you go out and you get Luzardo and you trade Peraza, that makes it harder to trade Gleyber Torres because you don't have as many infielders, but they just got this guy Vivas who's pretty close. You got Oswaldo Cabrera in a pinch. There's things you can do. They already traded Trey Sweeney, so he's not on the horizon. It's tricky, and that's why there's a lot of hard choices for Brian Cashman. I'm glad I'm not in his shoes because there's more ways that this can go wrong than it can go right.
Yeah, but I think like at the end of the day, like we could talk about all these names that we want. I think the only thing that's sure is that the Yankees need to get at least one person, right? Like this isn't a scenario where it's like last season where you could kind of like go into the season, not really do much to improve the offense, bank on some guys, having rebound years. Can't do that again this time with the starting rotation because we're going into a year where this should be all in, right? All in for the first time in a while. Soto is a free agent at the end of the year. I doubt they extend him before the start of the season. So you're going to have Soto being a free agent at the end of the year. You're going to have Judge a year older, Cole a year older. This is the year. So if you don't go out and kind of like go all out for the rotation, it's a huge mistake on Brian Cashman's part.
A lot of people saying that it's a dumb move to trade Torres, and I'm not like advocating let's go out and trade Gleyber Torres. It's not that I dislike Gleyber Torres. I think he's a great player. Problem is, you're probably not going to re-sign him. You know, I can't see them investing that kind of money in him. So get something for him to reconfigure the roster because right now the roster just doesn't feel like it just doesn't feel like it gels very well. Last question before we roll out of here. In terms of the outfield, we saw Giancarlo Stanton lost some weight. I guess he's hoping to play some outfield. I'll believe that when I see it. Are you comfortable with Aaron Judge playing center field for a while? And I'm kind of getting tired of that because I don't want him to wear down and get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really a concern in the back of my mind, to be honest. I mean, no, maybe in the depths of the back of my mind, maybe it's there, but I don't see an issue with Judge playing center field, at least for, what would it be, like the first, 3 or 4 months of the season. And I would hope that if there becomes a time where Judge is, kind of feeling some wear and tear from doing so, I mean, maybe he tells Boone he shifts back over, right? I don't know. But last time I remember Judge playing center field on a consistent basis, he hit 62 home runs. So
True.
I'm not too worried about that. I mean, if anything, kind of like what we've seen from Stan over the years, getting more action in the field benefits him at the plate as well.
But think about it this way. This is a guy who's got a fucked up toe, right? And he didn't have the surgery. Do we want him running to cover and back up on every play like the center fielder has to do? It's a lot more mileage than it looks like on TV. If you go to the game and you watch the center fielder, they're running constantly. I don't know if I want to put that kind of stress on him.
But do we have a choice?
That's the problem, right? I mean, that's the problem.
You kind of have to be okay with it, right?
You got to wonder if
what else are you going to do?
You got to wonder if they would consider Judge in right, Soto in left, Verdugo in center. Now, Verdugo doesn't play a lot of center, and Soto is not a great left fielder. But with positioning, you can put Soto where you need to. And I think Verdugo can hold center field down until the Martian gets back. And then once the Martian's back, you take a look at everything. And you say, okay, is Stanton healthy? Is Stanton hitting? If the answer to either of those questions is no, Juan Soto becomes your DH. And then you've got an easy outfield of Verdugo in left, Dominguez in center, and Dominguez on the screen right now, and then Judge in right. But in best case scenario, everybody's hitting. Then you have a trade piece. You have two trade pieces, really. You could trade Verdugo, who is going to be a free agent, or you've opened up Giancarlo Stanton's market again. Somebody might be willing to pay for him, and obviously he'd have to waive his no-trade clause. But to me, that's the best case scenario. Everybody hitting.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Yankees outfield and lineup configuration goes right now, it's kind of a good problem to have, right? It's the opposite of their starting rotation. It feels like they have an abundance of resources. And looking at Stanton, I know maybe you're not buying into it just yet, but bro, he looks slim. He looks good. And I know we've said this with a few different players in the past as well. But I said after this season that Stanton is that type of guy. He was going to go into this offseason with a vengeance. We know he's not the type of dude that's going to come off a bad season and just sit on the couch and eat Doritos and just be like, oh, well, I'm falling off, I'm getting old, whatever. We know Stanton is going to work his ass off this year to do the best he can to come back next year and become an absolute dog again. So I'm confident in Stanton having a rebound year this year, and it would make things complicated in a very good way for the Yankees if Stanton comes out of the gates this year absolutely mashing, because then you kind of have 5 really good outfielders between Judge, Verdugo, Soto, Stanton, Grisham. And then Dominguez once he comes back. So 6. So it's a good, bad problem to have.
And Grisham, he's not making a lot of money. I think he'll fill in nicely in center field, but he's, to me, a DFA candidate once everybody's back. If everybody's back, when was the last time we had the entire roster, right? I mean, it's like we always plan, how are you going to fit this guy in there? How are you going to get enough at-bats for whoever? And then we're running Willie Calhoun out there for 100 at-bats or something like that.
Billy McKinney, Jake Bauer.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want any more of that shit. Like, get as many, I don't care if you have to stack, major league players behind major league players. I'm so sick of having no depth on this team.
Yeah, no, I'm glad it's a mistake they finally learned from, right? Because how many years have we gone into the season with no left fielder? The Yankees haven't had a legitimate left fielder. I don't know. It's since Brett Gardner, maybe? Obviously, Joey Gallo was supposed to be the fit. That didn't work out. But it feels good to finally have a major league capable outfield where, even if, I don't know, Verdugo goes down, I'm fairly confident in Grisham being able to step up as one of the best defensive center fielders in the league.
Chris is all over Giancarlo Stanton. Seen a few comments that said, just because he lost weight doesn't mean he can hit a slider down and away now. And I 100% agree. But look, I think there's merit to what you're saying too, is that, he's going to work his ass off and all that. But hopefully Driveline is able to fix his swing path and we'll see a better Stanton.
If you were to put money on it right now, would you say that Stanton hits, let's go with OPS. Does he have a higher or lower than 775 OPS this year?
I'd say lower. I think his legs are done. I mean, if you look at the picture of him now, where he's lost weight, his upper body is still massive, and his lower body is still those little pipe cleaners that you make stick figures out of in kindergarten.
That's
and you glue,
nice.
That's
just mean. If I had to make a guess, I say is an plus 800 OPS and hits 30 plus home runs. This is a revenge season for Stanton. I'm guaranteeing that.
I'll take it.
Anybody who's down, listen, anybody who's doubting Stan in the chat right now, I'm taking receipts, bro. And Derek, we're going to come back on here when Stan's hitting 350 at the end of April with 15 home runs, and we're going to remember this. And if not, dude, you guys can roast me. It's fine. It happens.
Yankees made a couple of moves today. They got Bubba Thompson, outfielder, right-handed hitter, depth piece, and then Cody, I forget his name. Poteet. Yeah. Who major league contract, hasn't pitched in a couple of years, kind of feels like one of those Ian Hamilton type of moves, if you ask me. We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. It's not, it's kind of weird to me that they gave him a major league contract, to be honest with you. Yeah. A guy who I think has 20 career major league games, didn't pitch at all last season. But apparently the Yankees see something, and I always have faith in Matt Blake. Apparently he's a big changeup guy, so I don't know. We'll see how it translates, but I'm not going to be mad at it until we see him hit the mound and have a 70 ERA.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Pat Hennessy, thanks for joining, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Most impressive.